Okay, guys, our seventh and final shape here for all the quadrilaterals that we have. Today we're going to talk about a kite and what is it. So before we get into all the properties of a kite, let's come up with a definition that exists for a kite. So a kite is a quadrilateral with two pairs of consecutive congruent sides. So I'm going to put the marks of congruency on the diagram that we have right here, but explain something right quick. When it says that it has two pairs of consecutive congruent sides, what we're talking about right here is two sides that are right next to each other. Opposite sides cannot be congruent if you have a kite. So what have we said here so far? We've said that this side right here, that is AD and AB, those two guys are congruent. And we also know that CD and BC, those two guys are congruent. So these two angles that are here and here, or these two sides that are here and here are right next to each other, and they're congruent. And these two sides that are right here and right here, those two guys are congruent. Okay? A couple other things that we have now, we're talking about the properties that exist of a kite. We have exactly one pair of opposite angles congruent. In this case, angle D and angle B, they have the same measure. Okay? Angle A and angle C are going to be different, but angle D and angle B are going to be the same. And the last piece of information that we have really deal with the diagonals. So in this case, if I create the diagonals, this is what we got going on. All right, get ready for all this. The major diagonal. So if we're talking about a major diagonal, what do you think I'm talking about? I got a major one and a minor one. So right here, I got AC is a diagonal, and DB would be another diagonal. Which one do you think is the major one? Obviously, the long one is going to be the major one. The major diagonal bisects the minor diagonal. In other words, that distance and this distance are the same. The last thing that we have right here with a kite is that the major diagonal is also an angle bisector. So that means that angle A just got cut in half, and that angle C down here at the bottom also got cut in half. So there's our properties that exist for a kite. Okay? So again, if we were going to list them all right here, I've got exactly two pairs of consecutive sides are congruent. Got exactly one pair of opposite angles congruent. I know my major diagonal bisects the minor one. I know the major diagonal is an angle bisector. And the last thing I know, which I didn't cover right away, guys, the diagonals of a kite, they intersect at a right angle. That's kind of huge. So the diagonals are perpendicular. Okay? So there's a whole lot of properties that go with it. However, to be honest with you, most of the kite problems that you're going to have are almost the simplest. So what we need to find out is we need to find the values of x, y, and z. The easiest ones to find. Let's do those first. Here's x. Why is that one the easiest? Well, because we know about AB here and AD. What do we know about those two sides? Both those guys are congruent. So the value of x, 5. There's no work to do there. Okay, so again, all I'm doing is applying all the properties. What do we know here about BC and DC? You know that these two sides also are congruent as well. So that means that the value of y is going to be 12. Okay. This angle right here that is BEC. BEC exists right here like that. Okay, and again, what did I tell you? The diagonals intersect and they create a perpendicular intersection. So that means that the angle in the middle is always going to be 90 degrees. So BEC is equal to 90 degrees. What is the expression that represents angle BEC? That's 3Z plus 40. And now again, everybody's got the skills to go about solving this guy. Subtracting 40 from both sides. And now we need to divide by 3. Okay, so here in the end, we need to divide by 3. And when we finish dividing by 3, we end up with 16 2/3 being my value of Z. Okay, so again, kites have a lot of properties, but the work that's associated with a kite is typically some of the easiest. Have those rules out next to you. Keep track of all the notes that we've given you so far. It just makes doing these a whole lot easier. You don't have to commit nearly as much to memory. Okay, guys?